400 triple last week. A guy who's been here an awful lot in Gary Carrington, a #1 seed, who's actually looking for his first win here in singles.
Actually looking for the bowler that can win 2 matches in a row. We haven't had one yet in this ladder, and if Chris is going to do it, he has to be one of the best.
All right, let's take a look at our 2 bowlers for this semifinal match. First of all, our #3 seed, coming off a win last week from Haverhill, Massachusetts, Chris Sargent.
Okay, Chris averaging 130, has a high triple of 530, roll-off score 652.
And last week, in knocking off Paul St. Pierre, Chris rolled a 410 with 16 marks. He had 14 spares and 2 strikes last week on the way to that 410. So Chris today will go for 2 wins in a row, and he will face our #2 seed from Plastown, New Hampshire, Gary Carrington.
Okay, and Gary averaging 133, a high triple of 480, and his roll-off score 667.
All right, we had a winner last week in our bonus ball contest, so that means we're back down to $20 this week there. And it also means that we will have an emptied out barrel, so we hope you send your cards in. Now would be a good time to get them in, a great chance of winning. Also, our triple strike pool will be up to $550 this week. If either our bowlers can get 3 strikes in a row, they will win an extra $550 in bonus money. So, Chris Sargent and Gary Carrington are ready to go. We hope you are too. We'll start the match right after we have these messages. Don't go away.
Everyone at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire is very proud and excited to again be a major sponsor of Stars and Strikes. We feel that over the years, you, the bowling enthusiast, have become a very important part of our family at Rockingham. And as such, I promise that we will live up to our pledge that we will provide you the best service you have ever experienced. And if you're purchasing a new or used vehicle, at Rockingham, we pledge that we will beat any bona fide deal on any Toyota, any Dodge, or any Nissan anywhere in New England. So just remember, Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan on Route 97 in Salem, New Hampshire.
There is power in a dream, and every hour a dreamer is born. Just imagine the friends we made, the lives we touched, the glory days. 10 years of dreams. 10 years of dreams. 10 years of dreams come true.
This weekend, it's time to bargain hunt at Jolly Jim's, New England's largest indoor flea market, only at the Valley Expo Center in the Methuen Mall. At Jolly Jim's, you'll find thousands of bargains and unbelievably low prices on gold and silver jewelry, tools, clothes, dollar tables, and much, much more. That's Jolly Jim's Flea Market, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5 at the Valley Expo Center in the Methuen Mall, Methuen, Mass.
What's so good about the taste of apple cinnamon Cheerios?
It's an apple thing, right?
Definitely the cinnamon. No way, it's the baked-in taste.
Sliced apples, cinnamon, and brown sugar baked right into every little O of apple cinnamon Cheerios.
Baked-in taste, that's what makes them good.
Have you tried multigrain Cheerios?
I did that multi-grain thing back in the 70s. I don't want to do it again. I like them low fat.
No flavor.
These are very good. I like it. It's a 90s kind of thing.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Here we are, semifinal week on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Week 1 of this series featured Paul St. Pierre's win over #4 seed Rich Hallberg, but then last week, Paul was knocked off by Chris Sargent, who rolled that 410. So we're left with our top 3 seeded bowlers now in our final 2 weeks. Chris Sargent today against #2 Gary Carrington. And then the winner of this one will get #1 seed Charlie Willie next Sunday here. Chris Sargent, who now, Dan, has a record of 7-1 here on Stars and Strikes. Chris's only loss here in singles competition was back in November of '93 against Joe Ashline. That was in a series championship match, actually. Since then, Chris has won 6 in a row. Well, another tough leave. The 2, 4, and 6. Nothing doing. And a pair of 9s for an 18 start for Chris Sargent. And that brings up Gary Carrington, our number 2 seed. Plastow, New Hampshire. This is Gary's 23rd appearance on Stars and Strikes in singles competition. And the spare for Gary. The 4 horsemen left, plus the 9-pin, and a little help over on the 7. We're having a minor problem with our computer scoring system, but I have a feeling it's going to be corrected any minute.
I'm sure it is.
Gary looking for 2 in a row. No, this time he does not carry the 7-pin. And a 10 bucks. So 26 through 2 for Gary Carrington and an 8-pin lead. And what do you know? There we go.
Back with you, folks. You know, sometimes you just can't trust these computers.
That's right. Chris Sargent will shoot at the triangle.
And that being the 2, 4, and 5.
Of course, included in that 6-match winning streak now for Chris Sargent was a couple of wins in the 1995 Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. Chris was our overall winner that year.
And he'll fill this mark now in the 3rd. Roll off target. It's going to get 6. And the 1, 2, 4, and 10. But a nice piece of wood behind and the 1 and the 2 that should help him with the 10. Might want to try to avoid that piece of wood out in front, though.
Nope. Just what you said. Cost him. And the 10 bucks. 44 through 4 for Chris Sargent as he converts the 1 and the 10. Gary's last appearance here in singles competition was back in January. And he lost to Joe Ashline in a series championship match. That was the week after Gary had won a thrilling 1-pin victory over Mike Morgan in the semifinals, 397 to 396. It was a memorable match. Gary coming from behind to win it in the final game.
6, 9, and 10 for the spare. Too heavy on the 6 to carry the 10. So Gary will be open in the 3rd.
10 bucks. He still has a 2-pin lead in the match. Gary from Plastow, New Hampshire. He and his wife Kathleen have 2 sons, 13-year-old Matthew and 8-year-old Michael. Gary works at Lucent Technologies in North Andover. Does a lot of his bowling right here at Park Place Lanes. And another 10. Still a 2-pin lead. Both of these guys with 130 averages. Chris Sargent at 130 even. Gary Carrington at 133. Chris Sargent, the 1, 2, 9, and 10 with no wood. It'll look great if it goes, but it doesn't. The head pin knifing right between the 9 and the 10.
Make it a 9, 53 at the halfway point.
Just missing the head pin that time. Chris a little disgusted with himself. He looked away.
No, I don't think he likes missing that head pin with that first ball. 1, 2, 4, and 9.
And a 9 box. So 2 opens, 2 9s for Chris Sargent, leaving the door open for Gary Carrington here. And Gary threw his arms up. I think he thought he might have a really bad leave going through the heart, but it didn't wind up too bad for him.
Now the 4, 6, 10. A couple pieces of wood. Could have trouble with a 10 pin.
Wow, and
Yes.
the 6. And it'll be a 9 box. The lead stays at 2. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire. That time Gary missed the head pin completely, and again he'll have a shot.
Got a better lead this time by missing the head pin. The 1 and the 8. But he's got a couple pieces of wood. It should help. Oh, missed the head pin and got the 8 pin, but not the head pin. And he'll make it a 10.
So only 1 mark for each bowler to this point, and a 3-pin lead for Gary Carrington. The winner to face Charlie Willie next week in our championship match. Charlie will be making his first appearance in singles competition here. And he will get the winner of this match.
Well, spare leaf for Chris, 3, 6, and 10. Trailing by just 3, but both bowlers' individual stats, they both carry high averages. 133 for Gary Carrington, 130 for Chris. So unless they put some offense up, they're going to be well into their averages first game.
Another 9 for Chris, his 3rd in a row. He's had 5 9 boxes in this game, and that in itself is kind of unusual for Chris. Oh, big first ball this time, but look at the lead, the 7 and the 8. Whatever chance he has lies in the wood. Interesting configuration, too. He's got a piece coming out from the channel on the left, which is way out in front of the 7-pin, and then the 2 other pieces to the right.
I don't know if the other 2 pieces to the right have the angle for the 7-pin, but I don't like the one in front of the 7 way out in front either. That's what he's trying.
Oh, yes. He tried to the right, and it worked for him.
Took both pieces of wood. It was just enough to carry that 7-pin. Take another look.
Just getting a little back tip on the 7-pin from behind. Good shot for Chris.
Gary Carrington will be up there for his 7th box. Opened up with a spare. He hasn't had a mark since. Almost like each bowler is waiting for the other one to take the lead and then go out and get him, but I'm sure that's not the case.
$10 for Gary. It's 5 10 boxes for him so far.
Only left 1 pin standing, that 9 box back in the 5th frame, but minus the marks.
And a big strike. First strike of the match for either bowler.
And that was a quick one in the 1-3 pocket. Tripping the 4 pin for the strike.
Chris Sargent now on a spare that he left hanging in the 8th. On the head pin, he drops 8. Chance for another.
Yeah, just the 2-4 left. Trying to make it 2 in a row. Trying to finish with a little flurry here.
Yes. 3 spares in all now for Chris Sargent. Chris had 16 marks a week ago with that 4-10. Chris thought he was going to get 2. He got 2 extra. Made this shot last week with no wood, but can't make it without hitting the head pin usually. Well, Chris's low game last week was 127. He starts out this week with a 112 and will probably be trailing at the end of game 1.
That all depends on the fill on this strike for Gary.
Almost the double. Wow, was that close? First 9-pin drop of the day for either bowler.
Solid 5-pin. Nothing came close to touching the 5. This is for spare on strike. And
Got
the
it.
lead.
Leading by 2 plus the fill. Plus he's opposite an open box in the 10th.
Just a little light on the head pin that time. Drop of 6, 2, 4, 7, and 9.
See if he uses the wood. Nope. Might now, though. And, oh, it might have been there. Who knows? We'll never know. But a 10 it is for Gary Carrington and a 121, and he will take a 9-pin lead into the middle game here on Stars and Strikes. Details on our bonus ball contest, too, when we come back. Don't go away.
Introducing new Honey Nut Clusters. With a taste everybody will love. New Honey Nut Clusters combines honey toasted flakes and honey nut clusters for a delicious honey nutty taste. New Honey Nut Clusters. The taste everybody loves. Everybody.
Gone! These are the final weeks to get top quality furniture at unbeatable prices. Bernard's Furniture is closing its doors forever in just a few weeks. Bernard's is going out of business with a bang. Sofas, kitchen sets, mattress, and box springs. This is your chance to save thousands on quality furniture for your home. Remember, these are the final weeks for huge savings. After this, they're gone! So get down to Bernard's Furniture and Bedding, 655 Mash Road in tax-free Manchester, New Hampshire.
A cereal is only as satisfying as the good things that go into it. Whole grain oats, bushels of almonds, sun-ripened fruit. These are the good things you'll find in Oatmeal Crisp. A breakfast cereal made with the hearty goodness of whole grain oats. for a more satisfying oatmeal taste. Oatmeal Crisp, a hearty, satisfying cereal.
Hey, nice bowl of shredded wheat.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you could eat total and get 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals. Try to get that from shredded wheat, and you'll have to add more than just milk.
Like what?
Well, you could try strawberries for vitamin C.
Oh, that sounds good.
Lima beans for iron, eggs for some vitamin E.
You gotta be kidding.
Some peanuts for niacin, or a nice piece of liver for some B6.
I'll try the total.
Whole grain total, one bowl, 100%. Hey, don't eat it just for me.
Betty Crocker frosting. Maybe you like yours rich and creamy, or maybe you like a softer, fluffier whipped frosting. Either way, Betty's got you covered. With Betty Crocker, life is sweet.
On Saturday mornings, Bisquick pancakes come out picture perfect. And if they don't, they still taste just as good. Bisquick. Make the most of it.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing, always Coca-Cola.
Our bonus ball contest coming up at the end of the hour. We'll be looking for our second straight winner, so we've recycled the jackpot to $20 and put some new cards in the big barrel. And we hope you have your card in. Send regular postcards only with your name, address, number from 1 to 10. Mail them into Park Place Lanes, Route 28, Wyndham, New Hampshire, 03087. Had a $130 winner last week. And Gary Carrington almost starting game 2 with a strike.
Gary seems to have found the range.
Yes.
The last several boxes of that first game, and now solid 9-pin drop here and start the second game off. Spare up in the first.
Last 4 boxes now going back to the end of game 1, Dan. Gary's had 1 strike and 2 9 drops. And as you mentioned earlier, he pinned very well in that opening game. He left just 1 pin standing the whole game. Gary off target that time, though, just 4 on the spare. Seven. You're just 21 through 2 in spite of the mark. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by Coca-Cola. Always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola. Chris Sargent again just sliding by the head pin by a very narrow margin. Well, he had this leave in the first game with no wood.
This is much more favorable, at least for the 1, 2, and 10. The 9-pin, he's going to have something come off the wall.
Yes. Just had to wait it out. 1, 2, 9, and 10. With the 9-pin going out last.
Crowded, some of Chris's friends urging him on.
Again, missing the head pin. Carries 7.
1, 3, and 7 pins left. This time no wood on the playing surface anyways.
Oh, yes, great shot. Went to the left side of the number 1 and yet still got it to dance down and get the 7.
Usually when you play it that way, you think the ball is going to take out the 7. The ball went by the 7, but was able to keep that. I believe it was the head pin was still in play after coming off the 3-pin. Gary back on the head pin. Drop of 7, but 6, 7, and 10 left.
And he had 2 pieces of wood in the channel, but they rolled away. Or half in the channel, I should say. For a 9 box and 30 through 3. Would you believe it? Tom Morgan did it again yesterday. He continued his streak. This coming Saturday will be his 8th straight week on Candlepin Skins. Don't miss that. That'll be Saturday at noon from Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill. And then, of course, Sunday at noon, we'll be back here with our series championship match. The winner of this one against Charlie Willie. So a big weekend next Saturday and Sunday at noon both days for Candlepin action here on the Winds of New England. And Gary Carrington converts the spare as he takes advantage of the favorable wood.
7, 8, and 10. Piece of wood, or several pieces of wood. Moves it off the right side wall into the 7 and the 8.
5 marks for each bowler right now.
I mentioned Tom Morgan. He's picking himself up some change along the way, too, on the skins.
Indeed he is.
6 drop for Chris.
Not a very favorable leave. The 3, 4, 6, and 7 with no wood. Oh, almost. Oh.
Came close.
And the 10. So Chris has shaved not only gotten rid of the lead, but he has taken the lead himself as he leads by 13 in this game, but he's now opposite a spare. Right through the center, knocking out just the 1 and the 5.
I wonder how that can happen.
That's a pretty good shot right there. Going to make as much as he can out of this. Might get a 10. Let's see. Oh, no break on the wood, just 7. So it's 50 through 4 for Chris Sargent. Gary Carrington very, very close to retaking the lead. In fact, he probably will retake the lead when we come back as he fills that spare. It'll all happen when Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues after these messages. Don't go away.
Hi, I've been telling you that at Rockingham, Toyota, Dodge, Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire, you will find the best price from a dealership that cares. Well, let me tell you what you will find when you get there. First, when we can display Toyota, Dodge, and Nissan at one location, this is a rare opportunity for you to view the best selection of cars, trucks, and minivans in New England. Second, we are constantly adding cars and trucks to our used car inventory. So if it's a new or used car or truck, just remember Rockingham, Toyota, Dodge, Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire.
There is power in a dream, and every hour a dreamer is born. Just imagine the friends we made, the lives we touched, the glory days. 10 years of dreams. 10 years of dreams. 10 years of dreams come true.
A cereal is only as satisfying as the good things that go into it. Whole grain oats, bushels of almonds, sun-ripened fruit. These are the good things you'll find in Oatmeal Crisp, a breakfast cereal made with the hearty goodness of whole grain oats for a more satisfying oatmeal taste. Oatmeal Crisp, a hearty, satisfying cereal.
Hey, nice bowl of shredded wheat.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you could eat total and get 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals. Try to get that from shredded wheat, and you'll have to add more than just milk.
Like what?
Well, you could try strawberries for vitamin C.
Oh, that sounds good.
Lima beans for iron, eggs for some vitamin E.
You gotta be kidding.
Some peanuts for niacin, or a nice piece of liver for some B6.
I'll try the total.
Whole grain total, one bowl, 100%. Hey, don't eat it just for me.
What's so good about the taste of apple cinnamon Cheerios?
It's an apple thing, right?
Definitely the cinnamon. No way, it's the baked-in taste.
Sliced apples, cinnamon, and brown sugar baked right into every little O of apple cinnamon Cheerios.
Baked-in taste, that's what makes them good.
Have you tried multigrain Cheerios?
I did that multi-grain thing back in the 70s. I don't want to do it again. I like them low fat.
No flavor.
They're very good. I like it. It's a 90s kind of thing.
Here are the winning numbers from last night's Tri-State Megabucks drawing. Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks, once again bringing you the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions.
Gary Carrington filling a spare as we continue in game 2.
Anything over 1, obviously, will give him back the lead. Ooh.
Wow. Oh, what a break there. He could very easily have had that same 1-5 punch out that Chris Sargent had before the break.
It's a 6-9-10 triangle in the right-hand corner, but he also has the 2-pin with a piece of wood. So you have to catch the 2-pin and the wood. Nope.
And that'll be an 8-box. Gary will move over to lane 31 here at Park Place.
Bowlers are starting to put marks up, but their fills are disappointing.
Well, this is the 3rd time we've seen this leave today. The 1, 2, 9, and 10. And no. That's a 9 and 2 open frames. So, a chance for Chris Sargent to retake the lead now. Trails by 5.
As you can see, he's only opposite an 8 and a 9, though, so even if he pins well, he'll gain a few on the leader.
And again through the center, this time for the spread eagle.
It's one of the bowlers, you just can't panic because you're hitting the head pin. Sooner or later, you're going to move a 1/4 inch one way or another and start getting 9-pin drops or spares. Good effort on the spread eagle.
Trying to use that piece of wood over on the right side. Oh, he works it out for a 10-box. Gaining 2 in count. Opposite the 8. Wow. The 3, 5, 7, and 9 with no wood.
You just got to try to play the 3-pin on the right-hand side and move it into the 5 and 9 and hopefully across the board, but it's not an easy shot. Well, needs one of these to stay within 3.
No one's really been able to take control of this match yet. Last week, Chris jumped out to an early lead on Paul St. Pierre and closed it out in style with a 4-10. But this one is very much up for grabs with almost a game and a half to go still.
Oh, Gary kicked out the 7-pin and then came up and kicked out the 3-pin. Leaves himself just a 6-10 with a nice piece of wood that now is rolling back.
And that 3-pin not only went over, but it lined up perfectly. As a piece of wood for the spare. 6 marks now for Gary Carrington. On the spare, he's in the pocket and takes the extra pin, kicking out the 5 for a 9 drop.
Again, in the pocket, got a nice break, kicking the 5 out. Big fill of 9, but more importantly, he's got the 10-pin with a couple pieces of wood out in front. It appears to be no problem if he hits that wood.
There it is. Back-to-back spares for Gary Carrington.
Well, Chris doesn't want to let Gary run too far ahead. Let's keep him within sight.
Into the Brooklyn pocket this time. Oh my, he got an extra pin, but it was the 10, not the 5.
And that wood is real deep. You really have to have it on the red line to be able to carry the 6, I believe. Let's see what happens. No,
oh,
it came back.
From behind.
Great shot.
The inverted triangle. And a great shot by Chris Sargent.
Watch the 5-pin come in contact with the 9 and then kick forward into the 6. Great shot.
6 marks for Chris, all of them spares. And he gets 1 extra pin, again not the one he wanted, and now all the wood clears away.
The 6-7.
6-7. No.
You can just tell by the body language these bowlers are really into it. Every pin is important to them.
That's a 9-box for Chris. So he manages to put 1 mark up there opposite Gary's 2. Gary now with a chance to put his lead into double figures.
Taking a little extra time, a little more concentration. He doesn't want to make any mistakes, and that's what he didn't want to do. So just when you think Gary might take control somewhat, half Worcester on the spare.
Nine box, 103 with 1 to go here in game 2. Big 9 drop.
That's what he wanted the last ball on the spare in the 8th. But let's see where that wood settles down. He's got a clear shot right now. But that wood is not done yet.
That's a deceiving camera angle that you're seeing too. That piece of wood is not directly in front of the 5.
Close enough, so you got to be careful though. He can get by it.
And he does.
Shot.
Gary is 4 for 4 on singles today. Chris Sargent has not had a single pin to shoot at today yet for a spare.
As you can see, 113 plus the bonus ball for Gary.
Well, Gary will steal 1 extra pin. He'll take 6 for a 119 and a 2-game total of 240. Talking about Chris Sargent on single pins. Last week, Chris had a bunch of 9 drops. He had 5 of them, and he converted all of them for spares. But last week, he was much more consistently on the head pin. And, of course, if you're not on the head pin, you're not going to have too many 9 drops.
That's usually the way it works.
There it is again.
It's really fading. He fades anyways. He walks toward the foul line from right to left and then throws off to the right. But it seems to be a little more pronounced this week.
Nine box. Well, we talked about both of these guys having averages in the 130s, but nobody's hit a 130 today yet.
It happens sometimes. They come in with a reputation and the individual statistics to go along with it, but it's going to be a dogfight. Scores might not be high, but it's going to be a close match right down to the final box, I'm sure.
Oh, my.
Guys are working hard.
It seems that, as you said earlier, Danny, he has not hit the head pin as often as he would like, and when he has hit it, he's been right through the heart every time. So he's been shooting at splits most of the day.
Well, there you go. You got 5 pins left, and you hit your object pin for the first 2 balls, the head pin, and then he shot for the 3 pin, and he's still looking at 5 pins.
Gets out of it with an 8, a 113, and a 2-game total of 225. So after 2, Gary Carrington with a 15-pin lead, the winner to advance to the finals next week. We'll be back on Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Hurlburt has it. Make no mistake, what you see is more real. Any size or style, you'll get a good, honest deal. Family business that'll treat you fair. We're #1 in customer care. Service department that's second to none. And if you're looking for straight deals, Hurlburt's the one. So you want it, Hurlburt has it. Hurlburt Toyota.
Introducing new Honey Nut Clusters. With a taste everybody will love. New Honey Nut Clusters combines honey toasted flakes and honey nut clusters for a delicious honey nutty taste. New Honey Nut Clusters. The taste everybody loves. Everybody.
nice bowl of shredded wheat.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you could eat total and get 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals. Try to get that from shredded wheat, and you'll have to add more than just milk.
Like what?
Well, you could try strawberries for vitamin C.
Oh, that sounds good.
Lima beans for iron, eggs for some vitamin E.
You gotta be kidding.
Some peanuts for niacin, or a nice piece of liver for some B6.
I'll try the total.
Whole grain total, one bowl, 100%. Hey, don't eat it just for me.
Subspace transmission, Starship Enterprise. Picard, Captain, top Starfleet operative, Riker, second in command. Lieutenants, highest efficiency factor, Data, Troy, LaForge, Worf, Beverly Crusher, Chief Medical Officer, Wesley Crusher, acting ensign. For additional transcom, consult Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Nights at 7 on WNDS TV 50, Derry, New Hampshire.
Chris Sargent testing the slide on lane 32. Preparing for game 3 here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And almost his first strike of the day. Chris trying to come from 15 pins down here to start game 3.
There's a little work to do here. He's got the 9-pin. Oh.
Wow.
Saw that coming.
And that ball is going to stay on the lane probably, and it's going to have to be removed. Well, it might roll off. We'll see. Oh, we talked about 9 drops, and for Chris, that's his first 9 drop of the day, and that's the kind of day he's had. He had a 9 drop and then a roadblock in front of it.
He had a little room to get by, but I don't know. There was another choice there. He might have gone to the left pieces of wood, but I don't know. If you can see the pin, you're supposed to shoot it, so I think that's what Chris did.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by our friends at Tri-State Megabucks, and now with Mega Cash, choose your dream. Tri-State Megabucks, a hand for Cindy Sissom, who goes down and removes that ball in amongst the fallen wood. That doesn't happen very often, and that's twice in 2 weeks now that Cindy has had to do that. That's a very delicate operation.
I'd say, you know, maybe these guys have to throw a little harder, but you got Chris up there. If you can't put the ball into the pit area, I don't know.
Right on the head pin and another split.
2, 4, 6. Sounds easy, but it isn't.
Let's see what this wood does, though.
Trying to cut it.
Oh. Yes! I think the wood helped him move that 2-pin over. Watch the 2-pin. Actually cut it in front and off the side kick for the spare.
And we got another ball coming back on lane 31.
Wait, when they're coming back this way,
I'm going to be ready to
you know
duck.
It's a tough day. Yeah. Normally you don't expect they're going to come back at you. So Gary Carrington set to start his 3rd game. Gary with 8 marks to this point. 5 of those spares in the last game. There's only been 1 strike in the match. That was thrown by Gary in the first game. Gary off target again.
Well, it's safe to say both bowlers aren't as sharp as we're normally used to seeing from them, but it happens. But the scores are close. Gary will be open in the first. Chris has got a spare posted already in the second.
Well, and for this week's match at least, you're only concerned about winning. You're not concerned about the final score. Next week is the week you're concerned about the final score. All that matters this week is the W. Boy, we have seen some strange leaves, haven't we? The 5, 6, 7, and 10, and now it's the 5, 7, and 10.
Make it an 8. Chris has gained 2 in count. The lead is now 13 minus this ball, so chances are Chris will probably put it in the single numbers. And with a good fill, another spare or a strike will take over the lead.
On the head pin, kicks out the extra this time, and he's got a spare lead.
Kicked out the 10 pin, leaves himself the 2 and the 4. Got a piece of wood in between, though. Be careful of that.
Got it.
Problem. 2 in a row.
Neither bowler today has been able to put together 3 marks in a row. Let's see if Chris Sargent can do it right here.
That'll be a great time as far as Chris is concerned.
Missed the head pin this time.
Almost looks like Chris is reaching the point of overthrowing. Trying to put a little more on the ball, which is not always a good thing to do.
That pin looks like it's going to be in play, but it's going to be checked anyway. It may not matter. Well, yeah, I guess it will matter. He can't really get past it.
No.
It would be a very difficult shot to get past it.
My guess is it's in, but
yeah, I think it is too. Normally, if it's fully in the light down there, it's in play. Well, it's close enough for Cindy to look at it.
About a quarter of an inch out. Yeah,
wow,
that's what I thought.
Just out. Well, that's a break. Because the other piece of wood is lined up pretty well. Looking for 3 marks in a row, and he's got it. Low 5 from Gary Carrington. That's mark number 9 for Chris Sargent. All spares.
And that wakes up Chris's entourage here that's been rooting for him.
Yeah, an entourage it is.
Oh.
He's got groupies, I think. Oh, Gary Carrington responding with the strike.
Trying to silence the crowd. It looks like Gary took a little bit off this ball. It didn't look like he threw it as hard as he normally does. Got the good mixing action. 5 and 8 pins go down for the strike. Looking for the double.
He may have to throw another mark here in order to keep his lead.
Just missed getting that 7 pin. But let's see. Got a couple pieces of wood in front of the 610. 1 in between. So 1 piece or both of them and the ball should go towards the 7 pin.
Oh, yeah. Great spare. 2 in a row for Gary Carrington, and we take a timeout here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Things heating up right now. Chris Sargent and Gary Carrington with spares up as we take a break.
Gone! These are the final weeks to get top quality furniture at unbeatable prices. Bernard's Furniture is closing its doors forever in just a few weeks. Bernard's is going out of business with a bang. Sofas, kitchen sets, mattress, and box springs. This is your chance to save thousands on quality furniture for your home. Remember, these are the final weeks for huge savings. After this, they're going, gone! So get down to Bernard's Furniture and Bedding, 655 Mash Road in tax-free Manchester, New Hampshire.
If you're ready for a new car, listen to this. Nashua Ford is already offering tremendous savings on new 97. It's true. In fact, Nashua Ford is now selling all in-stock 97 Ford cars and vans at up to $1,000 under dealer invoice. Buying or leasing for business or pleasure. Only Nashua Ford gives you the no-hassle way to get a new Ford at up to $1,000 under dealer invoice. Nashua Ford, the home of hassle-free, easy pricing. Nashua Ford, come in today.
Introducing new Honey Nut Clusters. With a taste everybody will love. New Honey Nut Clusters combines honey toasted flakes and honey nut clusters for a delicious honey nutty taste. New Honey Nut Clusters. The taste everybody loves. Everybody.
Get ready for even more Simpsons. Because now the Simpsons are on back-to-back.
Yes!
It means 2 times the fun.
Excellent.
Double the hijinks.
I hear you loud and clear.
Twice the laughs. Multiple merriment. Everyone's getting excited about the Simpsons. Now with back-to-back episodes every weekday.
Weeknights at 5 on WNDS TV 50, Derry, New Hampshire.
Due to time constraints, we now rejoin our program with Gary Carrington bowling his 7th box in the final string of today's match.
And he's in the pocket for 8.
Yeah, Gary's been there too many times. He just said, well, I'll just fill this mark, see if I can get another one. I'll worry about the spare that Chris has in the 8th when I get there.
Yeah.
Still, nobody's ahead of him. Leads by 2, can increase that with a fill, although, again, he's opposite the spare in the 8th.
Again in that Brooklyn pocket, and he needs a break. Let's see what the wood does. Well, it turned, but not a lot.
You almost want to shoot at the 5-pin, hope you can cap that wood and send the ball over to the 7-pin, but you always run the risk of not getting the 5. That's what he tried to do.
Nope.
So advantage Chris Sargent now, although he'll need a big fill and another mark. Gary has the opportunity to bowl last.
Well, right now, the lead, as you see in the match, is 9 for Gary Carrington. It will be reduced by whatever Chris puts as his fill on this spare. But then, of course, Chris has to put at least one other mark up in order to force Gary to mark. Lots of possibilities here, down to the final 2 boxes. Chris kind of going to drop that one a little bit.
And an unusual leave in the 2, 5, 8, and 9. Piece of wood off to the right should have no bearing on the shot.
Nope.
So he's going to need at least a mark to force Gary to mark in the 10th.
Well, it looks like we're going to be at least in the 130s here in this game. Chris at 125 with 1 to go.
Chris would like to get in the 140s, I'm sure. Without a mark, Gary Carrington will not have to mark. But he'll have to pin work pretty well.
Oh, big one. Strike in the 10th. How's that for a clutch shot? His second strike of the day. Just got a tap on the 8-pin. If that had not gone over, it might have been a very difficult shot, the way that pin was angled in front. Chris is going to have to wait now before firing his next shot because a piece of wood slipped out in front of the deadwood line and has to be cleared by hand.
Gary has 3 pins to work with. Chris has got a 10 box in the 9th, strike in the 10th.
.135 plus 2 balls to come.
Of course, if he has thrown a double strike here, Gary would have to put up 2 marks, more than likely, depending on the fill. Chris is just thinking head pin.
And he doesn't hit it. So.
Heard somebody say at least 2. That's true. That'll force Gary to mark.
Got it, 9, 144, which means Gary Carrington needs a 132. I beg your pardon, he needs a 130, so he needs 27 pins. Gary needs 27 pins in the last 2 boxes.
So he needs a mark with a decent fill and then a pin to pin out.
He's on the head pin.
Not an easy spare, though. Because of the sleeper in the back. He's got the 2, 5, and 8. You got to be heavy on the 2-pin to carry the 8. Chance of leaving the 5.
Look out. A little light.
Now, these are important pins. This still has a chance in the 10th.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That may be a costly miss. He needs 19 now in the 10th. Needs 19 to win, 18 to tie. Chris Sargent just has his head in his towel, not even looking.
There's no defense in this game.
Gary's in the pocket. Oh, would you believe it? The same leave again, this time with wood.
Yeah, the wood's not great, but I'd rather have it there than not. He's going to have to just come up high, turn the wood, and drive it straight back. 3, 5, and 9. It's down too low.
Oh, no. And Chris Sargent has won another one. Wow, the same leave in a different spot on the lane, this time with wood. It cost Gary Carrington probably a shot at the match. A 120 and a 360 for Gary Carrington, 369 for Chris Sargent. Great match. A lot of excitement in that third game. We'll be back for the bonus ball and to talk with the bowlers when we come back in a minute.
Everyone at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire is very proud and excited to again be a major sponsor of Stars and Strikes. We feel that over the years, you, the bowling enthusiast, have become a very important part of our family at Rockingham. And as such, I promise that we will live up to our pledge that we will provide you the best service you have ever experienced. And if you're purchasing a new or used vehicle, at Rockingham, we pledge that we will beat any bona fide deal on any Toyota, any Dodge, or any Nissan anywhere in New England. So just remember, Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan on Route 97 in Salem, New Hampshire.
And they found this lump in my esophagus. He told me it was the biggest one he'd ever seen.
At St. Joseph, people don't forget our way of care.
It really was a serious operation. It was a success.
The nurses are something else in this hospital. They really are. Aren't they, Sarah?
Ask Sarah and Ernie Vaness, or ask anyone about St. Joseph Healthcare.
We just don't discuss what hospital you go to. You just take it for granted. You go to St. Joe's.
Introducing new Honey Nut Clusters. With a taste everybody will love. New Honey Nut Clusters combines honey toasted flakes and honey nut clusters for a delicious honey nutty taste. New Honey Nut Clusters. The taste everybody loves. Everybody.
What's so good about the taste of apple cinnamon Cheerios?
It's an apple thing, right?
Definitely the cinnamon. No way, it's the baked-in taste.
Sliced apples, cinnamon, and brown sugar baked right into every little O of apple cinnamon Cheerios.
Baked in taste, that's what makes them good.
Have you tried multigrain Cheerios?
I did that multi-grain thing back in the 70s. I don't want to do it again. I like them low fat.
No flavor.
These are very good. I like it. It's a 90s kind of thing.
We're running short on time here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, the $250 check for Gary Carrington, and I know this probably isn't one you want to talk about too much, but you did what you had to do those last two boxes. You hit the head pin, you wound up with two tough leaves.
Yeah, they were spare leaves. I didn't hit either one of them where I wanted to. I didn't do too well on my fills today. You can't do that against Chris. Chris took advantage of that. I was getting 7s and 6s. You got to check out too, you know.
Well, you're here frequently anyway, so I have a feeling we'll see you again before the year's over.
Okay, I hope so.
All right, Gary, thanks a lot. Very nice job, $250 for third place prize money. And now we will go over to lane 31, and Chris Sargent will try and get his second winner in a row. $20 now on the bonus ball contest, as well as a couple of sets of brand new bowling balls. And it will be a 6 this time. Let's see if Dan can work his magic again. Not this time. Jeanette Langlace of Lowell, Massachusetts. Jeanette's guess was 9, so Jeanette will be receiving a consolation prize from the NHCBA and from the Winds of New England. We'll increase the jackpot next week. By the way, the triple strike pool next week will be up to 600. Slide right in here, Chris. We just have time to congratulate you on the win, although it was a tight one right down to the last box.
Very close. I missed the 9-drop. I thought it was going to cost me.
Next week, the final against Charlie Willie. We'll see you then.
Definitely.
All right, Chris. Thanks very much. That's 2 wins in a row.